All I'm hearing is like, dude, it's 7 o'clock. That we got to go live. We got to go live, and this is amazing. So thank you for being here. It's 7 o'clock. It is 7 o'clock at August 15th, 2023. So welcome to the show. My name is Joey Ragona. My good friend Scott is in the green room, and I didn't. You know what? We were just messing around, so I don't even know if I set up the proper technology here to get him online here. But let's just he's in the green room. Scott, are you still there, man? Like, 'cause when I bring you in, there you are. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure because it was on my little desktop thingy here. It said he's in the green room, but I guess when I actually invite you in, you're no longer in the green room. It's amazing how
Well,
technology works.
I know you're new at this, Joey, but maybe a couple more episodes and you'll kind of get this thing down. That just a couple of times, yeah. It takes a little bit to get this technology thing down, especially for a guy like you who knows nothing about tech.
Yeah, I'm just getting used to it.
Yep.
Welcome, man. We already got some viewers here. Thank you for being here live. Let us know hashtag live if you are here live, or hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. And we're going to talk about today, Scott, something that I am totally in, just getting so addicted to. And when I latch onto something, man, I look at every way possible to learn more and more about it and implement. So there's a difference between learning and not implementing, and then actually doing the thing that you're learning, right? So today I figured, I know I have a huge feeling that you're going to be able to reference a lot of stuff when it comes to today's topic, which is, forgive me if I mess this up. It's mise en place. Did I say that correct?
Yes, you did.
That's what we're going to talk about today, and how it relates to business, and how do we organize our digital life, and how do we put things in its place, where does it go. And I know that you've been messing around a little bit now with finally trying to get your digital world together, and I've been doing it now for the last at least 2 years, 2.5 years, and really heavy this year on it. So that's what we're going to talk about. What do you think?
I think no.
Okay, let's change the subject.
Let's change the subject and let's
that's
talk
why
about
that's why
completely
this is
different.
so amazing. We can do whatever we
No,
want.
we could, and we always have, and always will. And that's the beauty of Dream Business, Dream Life, and Dream Clients is that's what you kind of do. And people want to come hang out and play, they will. Like Lorna's here hanging out and playing. Why? Because she likes to. So yeah, it's like everybody's talking about this AI thingy, and at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, another cool tool that will have its place in whatever this digital, technological, interweb, spatial thingy multiverse becomes as it morphs and grows. And it's just another little thingy, never going to replace live humans and this. And I don't care what you think, that's not it. It's utilizing what's so available now to definitely put our stuff in place, mise en place, to put in place. That was in restaurants, in cooking. When you design your kitchen, it's for maximum mise en place to put in place. You get everything ready. So when the order comes in, it's like bang, muscle memory, everything's there. Same thing in this, everything's put in place. So when you need to write an email or a blog post or a sales letter or whatever, or an invitation blueprint, it's all there. Your chain of beliefs and your dream client state, it's all easily available to put together in true knowledge that you get to then implement and deliver. And that's what I am waiting patiently for you to figure it out so you can teach us all how to harness the power of the mise en place, the organization, so that we, as providers of information, knowledge, wisdom, and insight, and that's really what it is to me. It's not the knowledge, it's that we implement the knowledge, like you said, and then we figure it out, and that becomes insight and guidance for those that need to know it. And making it, for me, Scrivener became the first step for me. I played with you with Notion, just not where I'm at right now with, but Scrivener for me enabled me to take stuff I've written that was all over the place, that was in drives and in the cloud and here and this and folders, and like be now everything's in one place. And if I decide I want to write something, it's all in one place. Yes, that will end up in a Notion-esque thingy, where it's even easier to access. And you've shown me linking everything everywhere because the digital landscape is infinite. And for I've seen what you've done in able to just harness it all in one place. So that if it's a blog post here, if it's an email or reply or a video or a YouTube or a Facebook, it's all like, okay, yeah, I reference that, this and that, and here. It'd be like, I need to talk about this. And to me, Joey, that becomes so valuable because the way you continue to serve and show up, it's deeper and more in dream clients and all that because all of that knowledge that you have, you do something with. It's not just, hey, I got 8 billion thingies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I love this topic. Not
Cool.
only it's become so important because of the speed in which everything's happening in this digital world now. And the only way we can keep up with it is not to more crap, but to take what we have that makes us who we are so that dream clients want more of what we have because what we have is not available. Our superpowers are not available in AI, just not.
Yeah.
Unless you figure out, like you are, how to take all of your stuff and let AI now go find it for you so that when you put an episode up, it's like, hey, go find out what Scott and I said and just sum it up and this and that and figure it out. And now we've got a great SEO post with good keywords and stuff that fit in with everything. And that was using it to help serve the humans better. Pillar two, serve them better. Why? If somebody's looking for this, it's easy for them to find it and gain from maybe something we said that will help them. And you talked about the things we do aren't, we don't know who's watching. Never know. So yeah, it's a fun
Well, so
topic.
I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, like let's explain what mise en place is, mise en place, however you say it, mise en place. Um, what it actually is, as coming from the culinary world. That's where it comes from, and I know you had restaurants and owned restaurants and all that, so I'm sure it was in place there. And I'm learning more about it because my daughter's in it as well. She's culinary and all that stuff. So I learned a little bit about it there, but applying it to business and how we apply it to business. And one of the things that I love learning from other industries, and then how do I apply it to business? And recently I was reading about it, and the little things matter. And I know that you'll get this, and I just want for everyone else listening as well, is like the simplicity of even the right pan to cook the whatever it is. Like if it's too big of a pan, and I'm not a cook by the way, so correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, and all this, but and anybody else out there, but if you are cooking whatever it is, a cutlet or a piece of chicken or something like that, a fish, whatever, and the pan is not the right size for it, and you put in too much oil or something, it'll burn or whatever. So, like all of these little things mean, is this the right tool for the job? Am I on target there at all?
You're absolutely on target, Joe, because if I was going to make, let's say, a chicken franchise, which is chicken in a flour and an egg batter in lemon butter, the pan has to be the right size. It has to be the perfect temperature. So when the butter hits it, it melts, it doesn't burn. When you drop that battered piece of chicken in there, it immediately sears golden brown. You flip it over and you pop it in the oven. If all that isn't right, and if the pan isn't the right one, that's not going to go in the oven. Cook it, finish it, take the pan and do what you call deglazing, put a little bit of white wine, and it takes all that yumminess, and that becomes part of the sauce. If any part of that's not there in place, messed up, you're going to end up with a soggy, yucky chicken.
Yeah, and this goes to the digital world. You're going to end up with a soggy, messed
Yeah,
up business and disorganized and all that. And this is why it's really I'm so into this now. Is I've always kind of been that person where I put things back, or if I do have a huge mess, that is an organized mess. I know it's not the right thing, but it's still, at least I know where it is. It's in that mess right over here, right?
yeah.
But then it's now as I'm getting better at this, it's where is everything and what's the right tool for this. And so you talked about Scrivener, and I use Notion and I use Evernote, and then it all depends on what is the task I'm doing. And I think that we should begin this conversation with something that David Allen says. David Allen, who is like, getting things done, the guru of getting things done, he says overall that our brains are not made to organize and hold information, right? And that's what all of us try to do. We just try to hold all this information in our head. I'll remember that. I'll do that later or whatever. And then the Einstein, right? You're not, whatever you can store and be able to retrieve should be put away and out of your brain, so you can leave your brain to create and do what you're supposed to do, and leave your brain for thinking and all that. So that's one of the areas where I would get stressed out, because I know that I have ideas constantly. Almost every minute there's another idea coming up, and it's like, where did I put that idea? Or right. So now that's what got me on the path of, how do I dump this information out of my head so that I don't panic thinking, let me stop what I'm doing to go write this down, and maybe let's say it's a blog post or something. Oh, this is a great idea for a post, and you start writing the post, right? And then another idea or something else triggers, and you're like, wait a minute, let me go over here. And so that's where it all started for me, was how do I dump this information so that I know my brain and my consciousness, my soul knows that I at least got the information out of my head and it's retrievable. That was the first thing for me. Anything you want to input on that? And I'd love to hear from the crew as well.
Yeah, definitely, Joey, and thank you. That's perfect. For me, it started with using Google Drive for everything and a folder for every client. And you saw one of my folders. You're like, holy crap, dude, I
Yeah.
can't believe all the stuff that's in there. When I engage with them, and if it's writing copy or if it's a process or an assignment, it all goes in there. And the second it falls over, it's done, I disengage from them. And then I can be in think time, and it's sitting there marinating, mature, ready for them to do it. So when we come back to it, it's there. I don't have to hold any of it. And the only thing that I end up holding is the think time, the idea pieces, because that's already taken care of in a nice, neat little box. And when I go to retrieve it, it's all there. Just like, okay, yeah, that's right. I wrote about this in there. It's in the folder, and I called it this. So there. Now, it'll eventually get to the next level where you've taken it, is where it's even easier to retrieve than that. So that was the starting point for me. But when I hear mise en place, I think about message navigator. That to me is mise en place, to put in place, to have. Anytime there's a conversation, until you've done it 1,000 times and you don't even need it. But in the beginning, it's like, okay, they just said this. What do I do now? I got to go find the thingy. No, it's right here. It's always available, because that's what you're using, and putting all these things and these pieces together. So go.
Yeah, that's a whole other level too, is the mise en place in the actual process of what you're doing, the marketing, the message navigator, the sales process, all of these things. And I always used to think, well, not always, but there was a good portion of my life where I thought that checklists, or whatever you want to call them, were cheating. Like, I should know this stuff, right? And I was sabotaging my business because of that. I was trying to keep everything in my head for whatever reason. Was it maybe to impress myself or impress others or whatever it was? It was like, I don't need checklists. So like, I'm smart enough, right? And I learned that it was the total opposite, that you're destroying your business and your capability and energy and focus and all of that you could be gifting and serving your clients. Pillar number 2, right? Because you're thinking about other things and it's all in your head. And so I remember that when I started coaching, and I don't know if this is true or not, but one person said, I mean, and we all make mistakes, but I remember one of my clients, when they fired me, they were like, yeah, it just got to the point where there's one time you called me somebody else, and I wasn't really impressed by that. And I guess that everybody can make a mistake, and that's not a reason, I guess, to fire me. But it struck me, it struck a chord with me. I'm like, I don't remember doing that. Maybe I did, because I was maybe thinking about the next call coming up or whatever. We all make mistakes, but that was, I guess, something that I triggers back to, like, maybe I'm doing too many things in my head, right? And so then the next stage was, I'm just going to empty everything out of my head. I don't even want to know like who's coming up until the my calendar 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before says you got a call with Scott. And then there's another problem, and I guess this is going into a mise en place process or whatever for me. Maybe you can give me yours, and I'd love to hear from the crew as well what yours is. The problem with that one was, as you know, as a one-on-one coaching, it's like instead of just showing up and saying, "Hi, Scott. Okay, so today's we're on for another hour. What do you want to talk about?" Like to me, it's like, no, you should know what the hell we've been talking about. Like, like have some sort of depth here, because so many coaches do that, and I was one of them. Like, so what do you want to talk about? Because I'm good at that. I'm good at like just tell me a problem, and it's not that I don't do that, but I found it way better to at least have some kind of summary of what we talked about so I can easily scan it and say, okay. And even if I didn't reference it, at least I know. So the person understood that I was engaged and understood where they're coming from. And that was, I guess, the first catalyst for me to start organizing thoughts and ideas, but then releasing them. Like, I got it, everything's cool. Let go until the next time I need to see this. And that was the whole Einstein, like, whatever you can retrieve, don't hold in your head.
Joey, what brings up for me is what I do now with Zoom transcripts, because I'll be on my calls and Zoom transcripts has everything, and I can go
Right.
look at, you know what? I just said something really good there. I need you to make sure you go at this here. And at the end of the call, it's instant and they have it. And I can go, okay, you go do this, this, and this, and we'll talk about it next time. They've got the recording, they've got the entire transcript. Now I don't have to sit and take notes anymore like I used to. My
Exactly.
one focus, and that goes into a Notion thing and saying, hey, summarize today's conversation, get rid of all this stuff, and just give me this, that, and that, and send it to them, or put it in the folder that we share so that they can see it too. That's it. What that enables us is to show up at such a higher level each time for our clients, because it's like, what did we talk about? I don't ever say, what are we talking about today? It's where, okay, here's where we're at. Here's what we did. Here's the next step to get you where you need to go. You good? Questions, this, clarity, that. What'd you do about X, Y, and Z that you were going to do from last time? And it's all in there. There's no guessing for anybody. It's like, oh, now I got to type up and a to-do list and assignments all ready and done. The end of the call, good. What was your takeaway from the call? Great, excellent, good, value. Okay, next. And mise en place for me is when I see them in a week or 2 weeks. I don't have to think about them unless I want to in my think time and saying, that was a great idea because it could come out because everything is a neat package. I used to do that when I had my office at the yoga studio, and I'd lay awake at night sometimes and be like, Bob, I said, wait a second, that nice white door, that big heavy door, everything's behind there. And when you get there, it'll be there. So don't even think about it, worrying about it. And to me, this lets me do that all the time. So that, again, we focus on our one thing so that when we show up, it just makes it so much better, because then you show up in an even better way. And Joey, I was like you back then. I'm great with remembering people's names. That, to me, I love doing, and I love storing, because that's a game to me. It's a muscle. It's just like building any muscle. But when it comes to what we're talking about, it's just so important to be ready for everything. It's kind of like when you're on the platform, you tell your stories. You don't make them up there. You've told that story 100 times and figured out how to deliver it, when to deliver it. That's mise en place. And in business, like you said, it's having all the tools. You know that I got real specific with one tab in Google, so that I got tired of being like, well, where's this page and where's this page? It all went to a spreadsheet clickable. And then it was in OneDrive, so I
Right.
could share it and open up everything. The time it saves from where's the checkout page, where's the this page, where's the Google, where's the invitation blueprint? I don't know. It's all in one place. And the more we get mise en place, the better we show up. That's what it's about. Pillar two at the end of the day. Go.
Yeah, and like you brought up a big point, because I was never that person who organized that digital area, especially with web pages and all the things you're talking about, like the little things. that when you really look at how many things are in your business, and I'm talking to you and everyone listening right now, it's uncanny like how many things we miss. That and that's why I go down all these rabbit holes, and that's why for me, by building out Notion now, is I'm always, even if it was just adding a simple, I'll give you an example. I'll give you adding my web pages, because I wasn't that dude who had them all on a spreadsheet that was clickable to see the page. I would just, because I knew that I could go into WordPress and I have it in a list right there, and I can search it real quick and whatever. So it would take me another extra 2 minutes to do the thing, but I could still do it pretty quickly, right? But that's not the point. The point is, how do I can do it? How I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to log in. I shouldn't have to go that blah blah blah, right? So I started to put all those into Notion. And like, okay, great. Now I have all my web pages here. And then that took me down another rabbit hole, which is like, okay, well, instead of me having to click to go see what the page is, why don't I take a screenshot of each page and put it into the page in Notion? That's done. Then I'm like, wait a minute, I have a lot of redirects too. Like, because I have tiny URLs and all that kind of stuff. So all that's connected to, is this page connected to a URL? Which tiny URL is this connected to? And is there a redirect? So here's all my redirects, right? Because that I can easily go into WordPress, see all my redirections and SEO redirects and all that stuff. But now I don't have to go anywhere. It's all in one tool. It's like, wait a minute, is there a redirect? Or if I share this URL, is there like an affiliate, not affiliate, like a tiny URL that allows me to track to the in this certain thing, rather than me having to go remember that I have to go into WordPress, go to the redirection thing, grab the thing. And even if it was in the spreadsheet, that's totally cool too, because I'm sure that there's so many people out there now listening that got them all on the spreadsheet, which is kind of cool, but I never really did that. But the thing with that is, we can't interconnect them really, unless you're a master at Google Sheets and in Excel. I guess you could do it, but that's mise en place to me. Is like, man, I don't have to think at all where the stuff is, and is it connected to these other things. I'll give you another example of this. The super PSs that we use, right?
Hmm.
All those super PSs are all now connected, because instead of me having to go into Ulysses, which is my writing tool, and easily search, give me all the PSs, or anything that says PS, and that comes to PS, I could search through all those. But now I could just go, okay, connect or give me this PS that I used in this email, and it's now associated to one document, and I can see all of the PSs, all of them, in one shot. And then I can also click it and say, where was this one? Where did I use this one? Or it'll take me to the email and say, what was the promotion I was doing on this? Or what was this for? What cohort was this for? And then go to the cohort and say, I wonder if this PS actually worked. How many people signed up for this cohort, right? You know what I mean? So it's just like this knowledge of information that you can just pull. That to me is like priceless. And I'm just giving you top level examples of this. Just by starting with web pages.
Well, it is. And again, Joey, that's just web pages. Then you have the multitudes of everything else. I
Yeah.
was looking at a checkout page today, and it was, okay, have you both, each of the two individuals in the business, have you both purchased your program and gone through the process using Stripe and PayPal? No. Why not? Your buyers are going to go through it. Don't you need to understand the process entirely, so that not only if you're in a supermarket and someone's like, yeah, I'd like to buy it. Well, okay, go to PayPal, do this, that, and then this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. You'd have no idea to help them because you haven't done through it. And then it was like, I want you to record the process. Well, why do you want us to record the process? Because I want you to see there's something missing from your overall process. And I did it for them to be like, okay, you only do that once. This
That's right.
stuff, mise en place. Well, okay, now every time you do something, it's like, oh, boom, 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 done. And it is about going back to the statement. I used to think I was cool. And hey, look at me. I can remember everybody's name. I can remember everything. I built all these I know the whole process in my head. That doesn't do me any good or anybody else if I got all that in my head. I need nothing in my head other than whatever I'm right now. The only thing I need in my head is that from 7 to 8 o'clock, it's Tuesday. Marketing made easy. Nothing else has to clutter it. So that the other times, and it's just, there's so many ways to do it. It's really important. So I think we have a couple of comments. By the way, that's Chantal Carter.
Oh, okay. Hi, Chantel. Good to see you here. Yeah, the efficiency. This is the thing with efficiency, like this we're talking about is, I don't know about you, Chantel, but for me, it was I wanted it as well, and I always was looking at the bigger picture, and that'll take me forever to do, right? And the one thing that I continuously take away from learning from Tony Robbins when I was like 14 years old was the chunking. That was like that'll never leave. It was like when I learned chunk it down, it's like it's never left me. And we're now over 50 years. I don't know, well, close to almost 50 years of when I learned that. And so, holy crap, that's what this is about. The efficiency is. So if I don't know if this is you, Chantel, or not, or anybody listening, but it's starting with the baby steps. That's why I just said to you, like when I go down a rabbit hole, it was like I'll just put in my web pages right now, and then it was like, oh wait a minute, I could actually connect these other things too, but I don't have to right now because it doesn't really have to be this way right now. So the system builds as you go, and that's what mise en place is about. It's like, like, and in the restaurant, the people, the cooks who are learning, they don't get it all right in day one. They don't put the knives back in the same spot, And another thing is here, I'm just going off on these tangents, Scott. So just pull from whatever.
No, you going off on a tangent, Joey? Say it isn't so. No.
Another thing too, and this relates. Like, how does this relate to your business? Just think about what I'm just gonna after I say this. Another thing I learned about mise en place is like, and this wasn't from mise en place. It was from, I think it was from like a Shaolin like monk or something like this, whatever it was, and it was basically like put things that should be in high places, and put things that are supposed to be in low places. And I thought that was just so brilliant because it was like, how many times do we not do that?
Oh yeah.
Right? How many times do you take your coat that should be on a coat rack and throw it on the chair or throw it behind you and like, where the hell's my coat? Right?
Joey, everything about a cooking line is maximum efficiency.
Right.
I should not have to move. I should be able to reach here for that and that. And by the way, once you get good with that, I can cook with my eyes closed.
Blindfolded. Exactly. Right.
And it's the same thing in business. I should be able to know that whatever I'm doing, that I can always reach. I always know where it is and it's ready to go blindfolded.
Right.
And so that's where the two connect is. Again, I'll go back to Messick Navigator because it's so appropriate. Okay, every time I get into this, I need it. It's right there. Boom. Every time I'm at this point and I need to determine really, is this an anti-avatar? Is this a dream client? I need to go look at my DNA statement. Dream client DNA. It's all here. And it doesn't matter what it is with your process. I'm just using Atlas because it comes to mind.
Why not? There's an Atlas one coming up anyway. So
why not? And you could sign up from the special affiliate link at the bottom of the page.
Affiliate links and everything coming at the end of the show.
Special bonuses and worth $87 million for an extra 7 cents today, and we'll do it all for you. You don't got to do anything. And sarcasm bell for those of you that have not yet experienced that. But Joey, when I finally learned from you, was like, simplify it, Scott. I was like, how long is it going to take me to learn that? That if I just focused on one thing, how amazing it would be. I talk about the 10,000 hour rule, Outliers, a great book, and getting so good at one thing that you're like, can't help but be great because it's all you do. Instead of, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and today I'm going to do this, and I have no idea what to focus on because my ADD squirrel brain jumps in and nobody's benefiting. So back to you, Joey.
I think that one of the areas that you just talked about was, by doing it blindfolded. And And I think that that relates to all of us and anybody listening. Again, like, do you know? And I'll credit Tiago Forte for this one because building a second brain now it's like all over the place. Everybody's understanding building a second brain and it's huge. But I took his course. I think I was the second cohort that he did a few years ago, and it's changed. It literally changed my life. I paid for the course. It was an expensive. I shouldn't say expensive, but it was not a $97 course, right? And I was invested in that. I'm like, I'm in because this is the problem in my life that I cannot organize my life. And the second thing is, I think that organization is important, but retrieval is way more important. Way more important is to, because even with today's searches and stuff and everything going on, like you could easily find things if you have naming conventions and all these other things too, right? So that's another mise en place is like, are you going to take an extra second to name this thing, right? To make it the same as everything else. So that's a huge thing. But for me, it was the process of where is this? Okay, because I have different tools for different things. And like you said, efficiency. What is the fastest way for me to get this out of my head or save this website or whatever so that I can just forget about it and continue to do what I'm doing? And at the time, it was Evernote, and it still really is. When I'm doing fast clips or something, it still goes into Evernote. And in Evernote, I have an inbox. And this is all from Tiago Forte. So anybody listening, I highly recommend at least buy the book. Go buy Build a Second Brain. Go buy that book. And then it was like, okay, the only place I have to go is to Evernote. Because I know that my inbox in Evernote has everything that I've just like found and captured or ideas. That was it. And from the inbox in Evernote, then later I could move it to different folders and different notebooks and all that stuff. And it's the same thing with Notion. Notion, I don't know how many now. I have an inbox as well in Notion. So what I'm saying to you is like every tool has an inbox for me, right? It's like our email. It has an inbox.
Yeah.
So Notion has I have even a button that says capture. And I just hit that and I know it's going into the database. And I've got a billion ideas and notes and whatever it is, just captures in there. And I know that it's either now, because I'm using Notion, it's mainly I go to Notion. But if I can't find it in Notion within seconds, the next place I go to now is Evernote, which is like, it'll be in Evernote. And I know that it's in one of those two places. To me, that is blindfolded. It's
Yeah.
like, where did you put that information, Joey? I'll get it to you in 2 seconds. Right?
Yeah, Joey. So, for me, one of the things interesting was Scott Hamlin, one of my first video coaches, probably 5+ years ago. He taught me naming conventions because in the video creation world, everything's about retrieval. And you said that it's about retrieval. I need to know if I need a blue background with this kind of thing. I got to go be able to find it because
Yes.
in video creation, asset location retrieval is the longest part of the process. I've got to find an ideal thing to fit this scene. And when I built the software company and the piece of software, we built in it the ability to search the assets that we keyworded purposely, name them, so that if you were looking for a happy woman blonde, you could find that image. You didn't
Yes.
have to spend an hour. And so after you do that with literally close to 250,000 images and videos, and that you get really good at a naming convention process, which becomes, and then I had a piece of software built just to retrieve all of my stuff or anything else in my computer. Why? Mise en place. If I need to go find, literally, Joey, I have close to 1 million assets. If I need to find anything, I've got it, but there's only one way I'm going to do it is with a tool. And that became Fast Asset Finder. But that's what we do. And I'm giving this an example of you figure out and then make it easier, faster, better, more, so that you
Is that
can.
what you're still using now? Do you still use that? Like, how do
Yeah.
you retrieve? So
If I
fast asset finder.
Fast Asset Finder, I go in and I say I'm looking for this, and it goes and searches everything, all my hard drives, everything, computer, and it brings me back all the results that I needed and it's all there. Instead of,
Mm,
okay, I know my external hard drive, I've got the main repository, and it's up here. And if I go in
totally.
and if I look for the no, that takes too long. And that's mise en place, going back to whatever it is that you have a process. We just got to keep looking at how do we use retrieval to get our stuff back. Because again, I'll go back to if I try and keep anything in my head anymore, I think Lorna said it earlier. My head's going to explode,
Yeah.
and it will. So yeah,
Yeah. Is this Chantel again?
yes, it is.
So Chantel, this is where my problem was, and it still is. I don't have it 100% nailed, but I'm getting really close to it. And you're right. It'll suck the life out of you if you don't know. If you know that I know I've got this, I did, or I found this somewhere, and you can't find it. And it starts with a habit, and that's what it is. Like everything is a habit that is part of mise en place. Like when they walk in, they know their knives are here, the right pots are here, whatever. It's all there. Food is prepped, this and that. And it's the same thing as with your business. Like I start my day the same way every time. I have startup pages. I do the same routines, all these things, all these success things that we talk about, routines. And, it's not, it's so important to having the business run because your energy, if you put your energy into trying to find things and all that stuff, you can't run the business. It's impossible. Like you're just drained at the end of the day. So I don't have any association with the book or Tiago, but I highly recommend that you get the book. Like it's a $30 investment or whatever it is that will change your life to buy the book because you'll learn just the simple, like I just told you, the simple thing of set up, whether it's Evernote or Apple Notes or whatever it is you're doing, even Google Drive, have a little folder called Inbox or whatever you want to call it, Capture, and know that everything that you do every day or whatever goes into one folder all the time, and that's the area of capture. And then later on, like once a month or every 2 months or something, you go in and you triage, right? That's what the next thing is. It's like if you go into a hospital and an emergency room, they're triage. Like that's what they're doing. They're not. You don't go in to see the doctor. They're, okay, what's your challenge? You're gonna go over there. You're gonna go over there, right? And then you go into another area where then they go in and diagnose. And you go into that room. You go into that room. That's what this whole capture system is about. You go into the emergency room, which is the inbox, and everybody's in there. And then your job is like, okay, what does this relate to? You don't have to have it right, but it's like you need stitches. Okay, you should probably go over there, right? And you can always move these things around. Okay, sorry, you're not in the right room. You need to go over there. But at least you triaged and you got everybody out of the inbox. That's the whole idea behind all this. I don't have to worry about it because it's in the inbox. And then later on, I'll go in and move it. And the other thing that is a whole new way of doing all this digital life organization is the fact that the folder structure, we don't need folder structures anymore if you know how to do this the right way. I'm not saying never use folders. I'm not saying any of that. However, it used to be in the old days that you had to know how to have a great folder system and structure with namings and all these other things too. And that was a whole other learning lesson. Today, you don't even need that. But there are folder structures that I have that you'll learn as well called Para. That's another Tiago Forte thing. Projects, areas, resources, and archives. And those are the only folders that I really have. I'm looking at them right now on my computer. I have projects, areas, resources, and archives, and my inbox. And they're
And
all the same all the way across.
a lot of that too is consistent naming conventions for your own stuff. Like if I'm writing a sales letter, then it's going to be SL. And if I go into
Right.
antibodies and it's like, find me SL, it's like, okay, here's it. Or master. Every time I write the first one, that becomes the master and I never touch it. And I go, holy crap, that's master. Don't ever touch it. Simple, easy. And whatever it
Exactly.
is, you create your own. And so
That's
then
a
when,
brilliant that's a brilliant example because that's a mise en place. It's like here's the master. It's kind of like the copy bank, right? When you get the
that's
first copy bank,
yeah,
leave it and make a copy of it.
right,
So you're always going back to that master thing. Or you can
yeah,
always go back to the master.
yeah, and you do it with anything. We talk about the chefs, but what about the front of the house? As an amazing server,
Right.
same. If I go to the table and you're like, hey, I dropped my spoon, I shouldn't have to go search the kitchen for the spoon. I know that the spoon is right there. And I know that
Right.
every single thing I'm going to need is somewhere that I know instantly the fastest route to get it. I used to hide, like, napkins and crumbers in places where only I knew where, so that when I came to crumb the table, it was always there. I went and grabbed it and put it back there. And every time I went to crumb a table, and people are like, "You're crumbing a table using a fold up napkin between two forks?" I'm like, "Yeah, didn't cost me anything." And they're like, "Holy crap, that was cool." Why? Mise en place. I didn't have to think about it. I have to go, I'm going to go crumb the table, but I don't have a napkin folded up. I don't have forks. I had extra ones hanging all over. It's the same painting. From time to time, I'll run an in and out project. How can I do and paint an entire house in 2 days? Mise en place. Okay, painter, Joe, will you come in? Your paint's there ready. There's your rollers. There, go do that. Everything's ready to go. Instead of, where's this? And I can't find that and this. And that's what causes confusion. And that's what you and I do is we learn it, we implement it. That turns into wisdom and then knowledge, and then we teach it. And then it gets better and more powerful. It's like, well, and again, when you finally get Notion ready to go, you'll do your course on here's how I organize my brain.
I'm already doing that, like with the Atlas people. I just asked them actually last week. I go, do you
Yeah,
want me to do an extra bonus on how I actually organize the clients, like how to, how to follow up with them? How do I use the AI technology to create content and stuff
Joe,
like this out of it?
your,
So yeah,
your mise en place with how you do what you do. Your ability to go look at, where did that person first enter my world? Not when did they first see you. That's different.
yeah, because
That
that's impossible.
that's pillar
Most of
three,
this, yeah,
most of it. But it's, when did they first interact with you? Was it an email? Did they click on this? Did they respond with this? Did they hit a web page? Were they on YouTube? Were you here? And then they went and did this, and then they got this, and then you look at it and go, oh, like you said earlier, let me go back all the way and see, did that super PS really work? And it's the same thing when I do. I am huge on onboarding. I think most companies fail on
yeah,
onboarding.
100%.
They don't teach you how to consume what you just buy. And I believe a lot of online marketers are the same way.
Yeah,
Again,
100%. I'm not the best at it either.
what happens when you click the buy button? What do I go? What's this? We know we've done it 100 times. Yeah, you're going to go this, and you're going to get the emails, and then you're going to go to the welcome page, and you go to the product library, and you're going to go here, you're going to do it, and then you do this, and that, and that, and people are like, okay, you purchase, good luck. Well, and so it's kind of the same thing. It's the same script for the most part. It's like, look,
Yeah.
as soon as you do this, what's going to happen? Your first email is going to be your receipt and this, and then your second email is going to be this. Make sure you open that one. And by the way, save it to a folder and call it Atlas. It's cool stuff, whatever. Now you'll know everything. From now on, I'm training them. Everything.
Yeah,
And this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. And then I don't get anyone saying, I couldn't find my thing. I didn't have, and their experience there. And so the next person is like, okay, here's the welcome thing you should do. Oh, it's right here. Clone it. It's called, guess what? Welcome page video. Oh, and guess what? Checkout page script. Oh, it's there. That's mise en place for what we do in our superpowers. And so go.
yeah. What you said is brilliant because I mean, I I started to try to have all of these templates and all these campaigns that I wrote for the onboarding or welcome sequence or whatever it is, and but I never kept up with it because it was I still have them, but I would have to go search into each one because sometimes I like to change my mind or whatever it is. And it's like, this is just too much pain. And this is where a lot of this comes into play. If for anybody listening, I feel your pain as well because it was like, this is too much work to put it all into a place where I could easily retrieve it. I'll just create a new one and whatever, try to remember, or let me go try and find that other one. But now it's like you said, is I'm heavily into mise en place and the processes and recording every dang thing that I do, which was another piece of, oh, that's going to take forever for me to do this, to get it to the point where I could just I'll hire Scott to come in and just go do all this because I've got all the videos now. Well, I don't. But then, and the other part of it is like, well, this is going to take me 4 times as long to record a video as I'm doing each of these steps when I just need to get this email out. But man, I could do this in 10 minutes and it's going to take me 4 hours to do the same 10 minutes if I record all the steps doing it. You know what I mean? And that's what holds us back. But I'm telling you that that's a mise en place habit that now I put into place, that everything that I do, pretty much, I'm not 100% because I'd be lying if I was, but pretty much when I go into a process or I'm doing something, immediately my brain says, should you be recording this?
Yeah.
Right? And I do. And even I was on the call earlier on with Lauren. I think she's here too. And we were looking at a process or something, and we were just adjusting it. And 3 seconds, it was like, wait a minute, here's another video type of thing. Record it, which took 3 seconds to do. Put it into Notion. Here's another idea. Bang! Now it's there forever. I don't have to think about it ever again. I don't have to. What happens if we want to do this? Okay, here it's in this. It's in the document folder. Go check there first, just like there, right? So it's the onboarding process now can now be a template, and I can now just go in there and say, here's the first email, here's the second email, here's the third email, and these are all the ones that are going to be the basic template to start with, and then we'll adjust as we go. So that's, to me, part of all of this process is get rid of it. How do I just get rid of all of this stuff that I don't have to think about it, never have to create it again? Create it once. Yeah. But the hard part, Scott, would you agree, is that it sucks because it takes longer to create that at the beginning. Even if it's the fact of just going in when I'm putting something into Notion or Evernote or whatever, and doing the extra step of just tagging it, right? Just tagging it. It's like, I'll remember this later, or right. And then you're looking for the dang thing and you didn't tag it, or you didn't call it something, or you didn't reference it. And you're like, dang, what did I call that again? Right.
Joey, years ago, I created something called products and services.info. And we on WordPress built affiliate sites for professional hypnotists to sell their products. And so they could do. And I found this dude, and we had a custom made affiliate program, this WordPress, shopping cart, all that stuff. And then I painstakingly recorded the entire process. Exactly how you build, fill in the blanks with product name and that. And I was then able to hire 4 people to go build them. All I had to do was now go out and get, hey, we'll do the whole thing for you. It's only this much money. They had the process step by step. They walked through it because I did it. It was painstaking, but guess what?
Yeah.
Then I never had to think about it again. They didn't. Same with the girls I was talking about. I said, when you go hire somebody to build your checkout page and you tell them to go test it, they're going to come back and you're going to say that you do Stripe and PayPal, did everything. Did you record the process so that if there's an issue, we can do it? And then they'll be like, yeah, we get that now. Instead of my Stripe didn't work, PayPal didn't work. How come? I don't know. Well, here's why it probably didn't work. Go.
You know, that's a big point too. And by the way, if there's any questions that you want, please put them into comments, because this is not just a two-way conversation here. If you want to know about your business or ask a question and how to implement to yours or a tool or whatever it is, let us know. But what you said is important because, at least for me, Scott, this is what I found is as I'm doing the recordings, or even just check a checklist, even just like do this step, here's the step, do this, do this, do this. It's just uncanny how many things that I still forget, even though I've done it a billion times. I'll give you an example. Okay. Going into Kajabi and I'm putting in a new recording, a new coaching call recording, right? And okay, drag it in. That's step 1. Do this, publish the thing, Okay, that's done. Great. Wait a minute. Did I turn off the comments? Right? Like, it's just little things like that. It's like,
yeah.
It's just those little steps. Is like, do this, do this, do this, and little pieces that you could easily miss. Because if I was in a rush and I got other things going on, it would be like, oh, I did the recording, I published it, it's all good to go. Yeah, done it. I have been to the point even where with Atlas, it's happened in this actual last cohort where twice, okay, the release comes every single Monday, and I sent the email. I'm like, okay, guys, recording's up. Go check it out. Next morning, I wake up and they go like, Joey, I don't know where the recording is. I'm like, Like, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Yeah, we're in week number 10. Like, you should see it's right. Guess what I didn't do? Press
Publish
live.
it.
Yeah, press
Yeah.
go live. Right? I did everything else except change it from draft to live or publish.
Joey,
And
years ago when I was studying Perry Belcher, and to me, he's just a genius in what he taught. And I created from it the perfect pitch, the 18-step secret selling system. I remember he would say, and Perry Belcher was with DM Labs and Ryan Dice, they were partners in the beginning. And he said when they used all 18 steps and covered them in a sales letter or whatever, an invitation blueprint, a page, when they hit all 18, they nailed it. He said anytime it didn't work, they skipped one of the steps. They left something out. And by steps in that, it's really just what are all the objections and what do you need to include? And did you forget to put this in the guarantee, blah, 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 risk reversal, all the stuff we know. And it was a systematic approach. I'm not saying that that's it, but every time I've ever written any copy, I go back to those 18. Whether I use them, it's that, okay,
right.
did you do this? Did you make this? It doesn't matter. I've written hundreds. I still go back to it. Mise en place. Why? I could spew forth all 18 steps and tell you what they are, but you know what? I got the thing right here. I don't need to remember it.
Yeah, well, like,
Go.
why would you want to use that brain space to remember what's step number 17 now? Going to the next, when you could just put all the energy into, let me write the copy. Let me focus on what am I trying to say here? And then what's the next step again? Oh yeah, that's right. Like, your brain can try to remember it. It'll probably does remember it. But like it to me, you're wasting brain power. Anything
Yep.
that can be retrieved is you're wasting brain power holding it in your head. I would love to have an SOP with video. Amazing. So what stops me is it seems so overwhelming. I've been avoiding it. Thanks for pointing this out. Do you want some tips on how to do it? Because I can give you some tips and some tools on what I used to do it.
What specifically does she want an SOP with video? What's stopping her? What's overwhelming about it? Because yeah, it's basically, and I did it for a client, Joey. I wrote the story, which became the script, and then I chunked it out, and then I built the shot list. And the shot list had every scene, every shot in the scene, and every asset that was required, whether it was an image, a video, a vocal, a talking head, and it was all done in Google. It's all there forever. It's like we need to go back and look at this scene. There it is, line 87. We need to fix it, change it. Where's the asset? Again, it's just a matter of what kind of SOP with video. Is it a talking head video? Is it a screen capture video? Is it a live video? Is it a tutorial, PowerPoint? So yeah, and I know
Well,
you got tons.
I think she's asking like how, like the SOP just within any video, not like what kind of video, but I could be wrong.
Well, but again, is it the SOP to create the video, to write the script, to write the story, to upload
That's
it?
what I mean. Is like I don't think it's that specific. I think it's just like I just want SOPs with video, like doing an SOP with video.
Okay,
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I think. But I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too. We could both be wrong, which we
We could be.
probably are. But Chantel's the only one that could correct us if we are.
Yeah. Before she answers, so there's another. So if you got a clarity on that one, Chantel, let us know. So Lorna Scott, I have one drive, Airtable, and one note for organizing. There you go. That's the goal. But
Yeah.
it's complicated. It got complicated. I'd love to start with Notion, but it feels overwhelming right now. Yeah, it is. What's the easiest step to get started? Depends on what you're asking to get started. Give me clarity on that, and I'll tell you how to get started.
Joey,
Same as
where do Pomodoros fit into this whole mise en place?
well, I think that's part of it's part of a process, I would say. Is it mise
Okay.
en place? I don't know. I mean, it
I
is
don't
for
know.
me. It's part of like I'm gonna go do writing now, and I'm putting on my timer. What I'm using, now I'm using Rise. That tracks everything that I do in focus sessions and all that, so I can put on the timer and all that. So again, that's part of mise en place for me. Is like, first of all, I'm gonna put myself into the Pomodoro, into the focus session, And then I also want to track the dang time. So instead of me remembering to track the time afterwards, did I do a Pomodoro today or when was the time? I let the tool do all that for me now. So I've taken that process out of my head. I don't know if I
Yeah.
answered your question.
It's okay. We're talking about the same thing. What Lorna's talking about is the first step is to organize in time blocks and what can I get accomplished in that time. I've got someone else. I said, here's what I need you to do by noon today. By 10 o'clock, I want you to do this for 55 minutes. Can you do that? Yes. Great. At 11, you're going to do this for 55 minutes. You're done. Can you do those two things? Will anything get in the way? No. So I think a lot of it is how do you eat an elephant, Joey?
Yeah, you're right. So Lorna, the answer is by moving one piece of data at a time. That's it. Whatever it is, whatever, if you're moving something out of Airtable or whatever you're doing, is be okay with all I want to do is there's this folder with 4 documents in it or whatever, and I just want to move that into Notion. That's it. Move that piece over. You put it into your knowledge base because that's what it would probably go into, or your notes database, and that's it. And then what I do, because I'm in this process as well, so I have tons and tons of stuff, as you know, on my drive, and I do. If let me back up. Let me help you and everybody else listening to this. Maybe this will help. When I'm doing this kind of work, like just moving, let's just call it moving stuff from my iCloud over to Notion. It's not really an immersive process. I don't have to think about it. It's just like, okay, here's 5 files. Let me drag them over, right? But then I get tired. So I do all of these things out of my creative zone time. Sometimes it's late at night when I don't want to sleep or anything. So but your brain power is not there. And then again, I don't want to remember. I don't want to have to remember where did I stop doing this? Okay? So in my process, what I do is I color code, like on the Mac, you have like little tags of color. And you can do it on a PC. You can change the color of the folder that you've already done. Does that make sense? You don't even have to go into Notion and go, where did I leave off and all that? So if you're doing one, that's a project to me. It's like, here's this area, and I want to move all these folders over and all the documents inside it. And that's all I do is like change the color of the folder. And even if there's subfolders in it, like, did I do that subfolder? I just change the color and do one thing at a time, because that's what this beauty of this digital world is that you don't have to do it all at once. And I think that's where a lot of us get caught, is we're thinking, I gotta finish this. And maybe that's just human nature too.
Yeah, and Joey, what I found is there's this cool new thing called Google. And when I was learning Scrivener, I searched how to use Scrivener, and I
Yeah.
found people that I liked. And I just scrubbed through videos until I found someone that was like, I could learn from you. You're going to help me quick.
Yeah.
And that we get to do is, well, first I had to learn what the binder thingy was, and then the other thing was good. Now I want to learn this. Now, and you just keep going step by step.
Did you save those videos?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Because that's the thing is, again, that was another thing that I like. Everything I do, I basically try to make future Joey's life easier.
Yeah.
That's it. So I'll give you another example of this, and we'll come back to the questions here because there's a lot of questions. I was writing a post the other day. I got inspired and I wrote a post. But I didn't finish it, and it was referencing Dan Martell and Taki Moore. And I'm like, okay, this is what I want to reference. It was in this video. Where is it? And I go to YouTube because I know I could search it easily. I can find it. But because I wanted to get some context from it. So I went to go and I got context from it. And I go, okay, cool. And then I'll come back to this when I need it because I want to reference it. But why? Why should I have to do that? Why should I have to search again for it? Even if it takes me 3 seconds to search for it. Why don't I just take the share thing now and put it in the dang document? And I want everyone to hear this because I'm not the only one who thinks that this is first of all easy for me to find again, and this other thing will take me another 3 or 4 seconds or I don't have to do this right now because that's an extra step I don't need to do right now. When I can go and do this other thing right now that's way more important than me copying this share link and putting it in here for later, right? But that's where I'm trying to change it all. I'm getting really good at it now. Like future Joey is always talking to me, right? Because that's when my brain, like my little doubting Dan says, Joey, this is really not that critical that you need to put this and take the share link, and because that's going to take you a couple of extra seconds. But then
Yeah,
future Joey comes back
yeah.
and he's like, no, dude, you don't, let's do this now. Okay.
So Joey, my response to Chantel is she said it, she knows how to do this stuff in her head. And I asked her a few questions, like how to create an order. Okay, stop, boom. What I would do, Chantel, is I would go on Zoom, I would turn it on with Zoom transcript, and I would go and say, okay, here's how you create an order. Go through it, take the transcript, then go edit it. Make sure you got every single thing in it, and then redo it. Read the script, and then make a video from it. You got a video. Anything you want to add to that, Joey? And then do the
Oh, okay.
next one.
Was that your questions? Like what's in your head and all those things?
Yeah, because
Oh,
she
okay.
was like,
Okay.
what? It's the process on my e-commerce site.
Right. Okay. Cool.
I said, what process? What exactly? What's in your head? And then she came back and said, it's okay how to create an order. And
Perfect.
then all those things she wants to video, I guess, to make people's
Mm-hmm.
real life easy on how to use her e-commerce site.
Yeah. Uh, the process for that, like recording the video is the first thing to do. Like, and I took all this from Dan Martell. I took it from Nick Sonnenberg. Their books. So I'm going to give them credit, and also Mike Michalowicz, Clockwork, like all these things. Like I've been reading these things for a little while, and I first learned this from Mike because that was like record your stuff. But then Nick and Dan really brought it home and worked the system. There's a ton of books, not a ton, but a good dozen of them that all together finally hit. So anyway, the process is pretty simple. Chantel, is whatever you want to use, Loom. You know, I use a couple of other tools like Snagit. I use Clean Shot as well. But anyway, whatever tool it is, record yourself doing the process. That's the first step. Don't even think about it, because I did it the wrong way too. I started by doing the process, like sectioning out the process. Okay, here's step one. Go to this, go there, and then I would record that short video and then put it into Notion. Like I would separate it all out as the steps, and it took me, especially for this process, because I did it as well, like the return process and the order and all that. It took me hours to do it. And then I learned from, I think it was Dan, and he was like, just record the thing first, like of you doing it. At least you have that process down. Okay, that's step number one. So if all you did was that, you're already ahead of the game. Then if you want to then what you can do is you can hire somebody from Upwork for very, very little money to go in and watch the video, and they'll take all of those steps and put them into a checklist for you. So someone else will watch the video, and they'll probably come up with a better checklist than you will come up with, because they don't know what they're watching it intently to go, what is the steps she did right there. And your little video, like if even it's 5 or 10 minutes long, will turn into like a 30-page document of all these steps, which is what you want, because you want every single piece done. So that's what I can give you, at least from my knowledge of doing this now over a little while.
Awesome, Joey.
Definitely the finished thing is real and it fights. So back to you, Lorna. Like, what is it that you want to start moving over? And it starts with like little things. Just instead of going down the rabbit hole of, well, this is more important over here. I need to really get that done, but that's a huge folder, or that's a huge table of data and all that stuff. That's going to stop you. You're going to procrastinate. So I don't worry about it. It's like sometimes look at a folder and I'm like, man, that's going to take forever to move. And if I just start it, I just start and I just stop. I'm not worried about it, because again, I'm indicating where I stopped. But then on the other side of it, it was like, I'm looking at Notion right now, and I have my redirects that the CSV that I downloaded from WordPress. And it was like, I'll get to it. Sooner or later, I'll get to it and I'll put it in whatever, but it's sitting there. So I know that it's there. And are those all connected? No, they're not all connected yet. So it starts there. I don't know if that helps.
Mise en place, the success to any business.
It is. And then when you apply these things to, like, like, look outside of your industry. Look outside of what other people are doing. How can you apply it? So many people are caught up in this digital landscape of where's all my stuff, because and I forget who wrote this. It was in one of those books I just mentioned, or those people. It was, we're just so quick to just put it away that, like, the capture is like, okay, I did this capture thing. That's what everybody's telling me. Now it's out of my head. Let me go on to something else. But then it becomes even worse because you don't know where you put it.
Yep.
Right? Is it my downloads? Is it this? How many times have you on Zoom or something? Is like, where'd they download that thing? Like the chat, where'd it go? Right?
Yeah.
Somebody gives you something in the chat and you're like, okay, download it. And then, like, where did that thing go? And what was it called again? Right? So it's this quick capture thing that even though somebody's doing that, is like, not, but I still don't even know where it is. That's why the whole capture system is like, it's the same folder all the way across all the platforms. That's the other big thing that I learned from Tiago, which was, I don't have to have one area. It doesn't have to go into Notion. If it's not in Notion, it's going to be in Evernote. If it's not in Evernote, it's going to be on Google Drive. But it's
Yeah.
right. It's going to be. I'm going to look for in each of the folders. It's going to be in the inbox, 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 inbox. It's
Yeah.
not there. Okay, you know what I mean. All right, cool. Thank you for being here. Amazing. We'll see you next Tuesday at the same time, same bat channel. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being on the show. Hashtag live if you're here. Hashtag live. Hashtag replay. And if you want to join the Facebook group, it is right here.